Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see you. Today, I'm talking and we're speaking about hope and repair. A couple of weeks ago, during Joe's memorial, I was kind of shocked to hear from Marco Bellatini that his subject was hope. And I thought, we're on the same wavelength. And then I thought, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to be doing hope and repair. And so after his service, I told him that I was doing that, and he was very loving and kind. And he told me, it's all in the poem, it's all in the poem. And I said, oh, okay, whatever that meant. I don't know. So I got, with some help from Daryl, the poem, and I'm going to read it. It's his favorite poet, and the title is Hope, by Liesel Mueller. It hovers in dark corners before the lights are turned on. It shakes sleep from its eyes and drops from mushroom gills. It explodes in the starry heads of dandelions turned sages. It sticks to the wings of green angels that sail from the tops of maples. It sprouts in the occluded eye of the money-eyed potato. It lives in each earthworm section's surviving cruelty. It is the motion that runs from the eyes to the tail of a dog. It is the mouth that inflates the lungs of the child that has just been born. It is the singular gift we cannot destroy in ourselves. The argument that refutes death. The genius that invents the future. All we know of God. It is the serum that makes us swear not to betray one another. It is in this poem, trying to speak. So, I decided on this topic, hope and repair, a few weeks ago, when, as you all know, things got really messy, if it could be possible, in this world. Constantly taking the temperature of the happenings in the world. I was feeling myself very discouraged and frustrated, alarmed, afraid. I had decided my subject for this day of service would be hope and repair. And so, as a exercise, I began to search, because all of a sudden, I thought, how can I talk about it? Thinking about all the disasters and the shortcomings of mankind, I didn't feel like I could really say anything about hope. I didn't feel hope. I felt danger. I was starting to think about where could I go? Where could I move? Go to another place, but guess what? The whole planet is alive with some disaster or another. And guess who's causing it? We are. So Marco, as a gay minister, he talked in his sermon about his suffering and how, especially during the gay epidemic, and with the eventual loss of his significant other years later, he talked about his 100 sermons and how he was taken by the support that his congregation gave him. He learned over and over again as he visited those people in the hospital, his loved ones, helping them to meet death, go through the great doors, whatever they are. But I know we're going through something. He talked about how he had to share his heart and soul, how he had to keep giving over and over again. He gave over, I think it was 400 sermons, 500 sermons in the 18, I guess in his whole career maybe. But he served here for 18 years, and during that time he was really, really struggling. And I think Sheila brought me here once, I met him once, and he was, I thought, very disturbed. And he was suffering because his people were dying of an unknown illness. So he described how the love and support of the congregation allowed him to move through the tragedies, the pain, and the suffering. Now at this time, we the people are facing great challenges not only to our democracy, but to the climatic events happening all around the world. These years have been almost apocalyptic. If they're apocalyptic, it means it's over. And if our system of government is allowed to be dismantled and destroyed, we the people will continue to suffer the grave circumstances we now have. As I mentioned, the wars, mass immigrations, innocents being slaughtered. And I can't say this without feeling very, very sorrowful. Floods, of which I experienced this last winter, damage all up and down San Lorenzo Creek. Fires. My family in Napa experienced the Great Fire, and they had to evacuate a couple years ago. Hurricanes, earthquakes. I've been in an earthquake or two. It's quite like being in a jelly bowl, seeing everything turn to jelly. And yes, plagues. We are still suffering from COVID, which has been the largest disruptive event of societies since World War II. So my hope was falling fast. 3 weeks ago, as I mentioned, I was feeling helpless. I was thinking about, maybe I don't need to be around here anymore. I mean, I've put in a few good years. So what could any of us do to solve all these worldwide problems that just keep coming after us, coming after us, coming after us, or here? As guardians of the earth, however, as a guardian, I felt like I had to stay around and keep my voice heard from people who keep abusing and denigrating Mother Earth. And that's all of us in a way, too. As I felt these urgent questions, I began singing a song. I have the kind of head that has always something in it, musical. Singing a song by Holly Near. The words, I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would dishonor those who have gone before. And that really struck me. I remember Jesus. I used to write letters to Jesus. I really liked him. Mother Teresa, Chief Joseph, Muhammad Ali, who changed his name because he was given a slave name, Martin Luther King. I got out of teaching because of the death and assassination of Martin Luther King. I had it with the school system and our system. I no longer wanted to participate in that way. and I moved to the mountains. And that's where I was for 10 years, 11 years. But there was President Kennedy and Bobby. All those who put their lives on the line to serve the welfare of humanity. They gave it up. They took the risk. Just like right now, those people who are campaigning, Trump got shot in the ear, supposedly. Kamala, I'm sure she must think every day when she gets out there, there's always the possibility. Because that is the world we have created. We. These people, my heroes, Schweitzer, any poet you can name, they all wanted peace and love and freedom for all. And we all want that. I remember during the time of the 60s when I was an activist and my mother was upset that I was going to a demonstration. I was protesting with others the Vietnam War. And she said, you know, you don't have to do that. Why are you doing that? And I said, because I want peace. I don't want... And she said, there's always been wars and there always will be wars. And anything you do, you can't do anything about it. So that separated me from her spirit, in a way. Because I believe that we can create beauty, peace, love, cooperation. We can live here. We can stop damaging our world and really have a nice place instead of being jammed in together. So, I have here affirmation. We must be saved. Am I supposed to do that? Okay. My first time. So, I have been enraged, and then I've decided that in the last 3 weeks that I'm just going to really stop. First, I'm going to learn to say no. I tried to say no to this sermon a long time ago. And no to other things, you know, but but I am going to be starting to say no to a lot of things, people or ways or whatever. I'm going to ask Sheila how many times I told her no this week when I was working on this. No. Because I need to really, you know, circle the wagon, so to speak, really get in touch, because now that I have been practicing it, I have noticed that there are other of my senses that have come into my life that I used to have or that I didn't know I have, and it's really invigorating. I'm feeling very positive. I love my world. I love all of you. I love all the plants and the flowers. I stop and I watch the little spider under the cabinet that just lowers himself down very slowly. That spider was like real little. I got on my hands to watch it. Go down very slowly, and I go, what the heck is he doing? I'm right here, he's not afraid of me, you know? And he lowered himself down, and there was a body there. And he hooked it, and then he went back, and he started lifting it up. And then very slowly, he disappeared. That was amazing. He was in our house. My job is to take the spiders out of the house. Not those little ones, but wait until they get big. But the big ones I take and I go and I give them to some happy plant or whatever. So I learned that I can forgive and honor others in their struggles and challenges. I am really practicing trying to understand or be aware. Here comes Jill. Al Murdoch. Okay. I am really struggling not to lose my temper, because once you do it, you lose it. I need it. We all need our temper. Really, that is our energy. So I was learning to forgive and honor others in their struggles and challenges. And by others, I do mean all forms of life, like the spider, the birds, the mountains, the oceans, the fungi in the soil, the air, the sun that rises and moves on and its destiny every day. So my first beginning practice that I've really been focusing on is breathe. You don't know how many times I had to stop myself today in anticipation of this moment to just breathe. You're not going to rise up and bite me. Just breathe. You'll be okay. So that's what I've been doing. So now, more than any time in my life, I'm trusting everything. I'm trusting that somehow we'll get through safely. And if we don't get through safely, something else will happen, and it'll be okay. So I would like, I know what I was going to. I mentioned that I mentioned Jesus and how much I was a friend of fan is, writing his letters. Forgot that one. This is how I had to do this. It was excruciating. Because I'm not modern. Okay, so I did do that. Here it is. I want to read to you an affirmation by Reinhold Niebuhr called, "We must be saved." Think about that. Before I start reading this, how many of you have been feeling anxious and afraid? How many of you have thought about, are they going to drop the bomb on us, or send a missile and blow up the White House? Or, because these are billionaires with tons of money that they can do anything, including help somebody get off in the justice system. They're buying the whole world. So, nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. We need each other. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own. Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. Divine intervention might appear at some moment in time, and meanwhile, we must slow down, meditate, and chant more, and take care of our bodies. If we're going to be able to help ourselves and each other and love and be kind, we need our bodies. So, I like this affirmation because Jesus on the cross said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." That's very powerful. And I've been raised in a very turbulent environment, very caustic. I learned from the first grade on to get in there and fight if somebody was being nasty or mean to me or my brothers or whatever. I grew up on Mount Tamalpais where it was peaceful, and mistakenly my parents moved us to the avenue where you watched the lights flowing by you all night. Couldn't sleep. Had to go to school and walk on concrete. I was not used to that. So I became kind of a difficult kid, now that I look back, because I was doing things like climbing telephone poles, hanging out of second-story windows, using the bathtubs my dad got from his business. He was a plumber, those clawed bathtubs, filling them up with fish and frogs and salamanders that I got around. I go around the neighborhoods looking for Mother Nature. She has always been my first love. My mother has always been my first love, and it's from her that I really, really was inspired and came to know all that I know and feel about the universe. She never graduated from high school. She had 4 kids. Her husband died of my father, died of a heart attack at the age of 36. And she was left with us and really no support in the family because I come from a very alcoholic, damaged family, including in that family's murder and suicide, which shocked some people. It certainly shocked me. But those are things that are ways that kind of stiffened me and made me suspicious, guarded, and very careful in this world. And I am still that way, but a little softer now, and a little more giving, and my ears are more open. And like I said, it's been a new world for me the last few weeks. I just am really enjoying being here when I have never been enjoying it for a long time. So that's it for me. Thank you for listening.